Hey, my name is Joe Saraki. I am here with DAP and Jason at HeroesCon 2025. You're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
Simon here.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, nice segue. A little early. Yeah, I don't know why it surprised me to see Breathtaker on your list because of not just because of the age of the book, but because I never would have. It would have taken me a long time to suggest something by the Marks to you. So now I have to hurry up and finish it so I can so we can talk about it and I can see what you thought about it. But yeah, it's because I mean I enjoyed their work when they were doing Johnny Quest. They had a book called Warp. It's but yeah, I was not expecting to see Breathtaker on your list. It's weird.
Well, we live in a time when it's ever decreasing monthly orders as a
Okay.
And a few months ago, this was solicited by Titan. I'm always focused on Titan, and it's the 35th anniversary edition hardcover. So I mean, I like to solicit and figured, well, if Titan's giving us an anniversary, I mean, 35 years is an arbitrary thing, but I figured, what the hell, so. But I'll save my thoughts on it until next week.
You can bring it to Baltimore because they'll both be there.
Oh no shit! I haven't even got it. It shows you what a weird con. I haven't even looked at Baltimore guest list. I have no idea who's going to be there. I mean, I know our boy Fleece will be there, but other than that,
yeah, he was on the recent email. But yeah, a few weeks ago, they were talking about it. It was like the Breathtaker team. It was a big deal. It was like that was the headline. It was practically the subject in the email was that it was.
Well, probably I would imagine Titan's bringing them out, right? Probably to coincide with this release. Yeah.
Very cool.
So we'll see. Did I like it? That'll be stay tuned next week to find out.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to 11 O'Clock Comics. This is episode 999, a penultimate episode. We're back. More or less, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but we have it. At least we're recording together. This week is not an experiment. You don't have to worry about me trying to piece together audio files from as if I'm Dora the Explorer trying to find them all around the world. But we're going to talk about some books. Have a good old time tonight. I am David A. Price.
That is true, and of course, I'm everybody's favorite cyborg adventurer, Xanadax.
Shout out to Tom. You are not Xanadax. No, you are Jason Wood. Welcome, my friend. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, kudos to you for working producer magic to keep the streak alive last week.
Just trying to do my part.
So, yeah, man. I'm glad obviously to be back. It's been a very very travel heavy last few weeks for me. That's over at least until it all starts back up again in November. So,
well, at least that'll be after con season for us. That's fine.
The show will have ended. I mean, we'll be we only have a week left, so
right.
I mean, it'll be my schedule will be much freer. So yeah,
right. You can travel. Now's the time you can travel the world.
Yeah, it's like retiring. It's like I can finally travel.
That's amazing. God damn! I do want to thank everybody who did send their comments regarding the past couple of weeks. I received a few messages from people who absolutely got a massive kick out of our OUFL episode.
Yeah, that seemed to get a lot of positive feedback. It's nice to see. Yeah,
absolutely was, and even last week's experiment, I keep calling it, but last week's episode, a few people have slid into my DMs and said that and said that it was fun. They were happy to hear both of us, and that we still were able to manage to bring the good stuff that we try to do. And speaking of bringing good stuff, this week's episode, as always, is sponsored by cheapgraphicnovels.com. You can send Max an email. Well, place your order, as we've said before. Go ahead, place your order, check out the specials, and after you place that first order, you will then send Max an email letting him know that 11 O'Clock Comics sent you. Your next order, as we like to say, the one you're going to stock up big on. That's the one where you're going to get all your Omnibus and your No Man's Land collections and your whole Crisis box set. That's where you're going to get your free shipping. There are specials every week because there are new releases every week. The Slack gets a few choice selections that we curate and post for them to keep an eye out for. But some other specials this week include DC Finest Horror, The Devil's Doorway trade paperback, $23.99. This collection features bone-chilling tales from House of Secrets, House of Mystery, The Witching Hour, The Phantom Stranger, and The Unexpected. Discover the eerie origins of Abel and his infamous house. Witness Johnny Perril's harrowing encounters and explore cursed artifacts, haunted mansions, and demonic forces that defy explanation. From the masterful storytelling of Len Wein, Neil Adams, Alex Toth, and Bernie Wrightson, these tales showcase DC's talent for weaving horror and suspense into unforgettable narratives. With tales that are as timeless as they are terrifying, The Devil's Doorway is an essential addition to the DC Finest library. This collects House of Secrets numbers 81 through 85, House of Mystery numbers 180 through 185, The Phantom Stranger number 5, The Witching Hour numbers 3 through 7, and The Unexpected numbers 113 through 117. Spectator's hardcover, $20.99. Hundreds of years in the future, New York City is haunted by many ghosts, including a voyeuristic woman who died in our present day and a mysterious gun-toting man from the distant past. Normally solo travelers, these two specters meet each other just in time to observe what might be the end of the, in parentheses, living world. 3 years in the making, this lavishly hand-painted epic is the most ambitious collaboration yet between Pride of Baghdad artist Nico Henrichsen, I tried to say that right, and saga writer Brian K. Vaughan. Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I'm sorry?
I said Europe.
Yeah, I saw the creative team and had to add it to my next order. A Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, hardcover, 1874. In the mists of London rages the evil Mr. Hyde. It is said that he inspires fear, hatred, and repulsion. It is said that there's nothing human about him. But who is this mysterious character really? The answer lies in the heart of the laboratory of the eminent Dr. Jekyll. This is Robert Louis Stevenson's classic tale, revisited beautifully by illustrator Vincent Mallet. Those are your specials for this week.
Well done, sir.
I try. Thank you. And because I had the bottle open already, I am enjoying Han Cabernet Sauvignon from California.
Is that Han as in solo? Like
no, it's HAHN.
Ah, like Jeremy.
Well, no, that's HAUN.
No, that's HAUN.
Yeah, it's Han.
Like
Han. Yeah. Okay.
Huh.
Han wines.
Han. Okay. Well, I'm not drinking that. I am drinking grape G0.
Mm-hmm.
Get those electrolytes, you know.
Have you ever had Celsius?
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet. I got a couple coworkers who just seem to drink it by the keg. It's crazy.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm not.
I don't care for it.
I'm not one for energy drinks anyway. I don't really care for Red Bull or anything like that, so I've avoided. But I know you love your Bull. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't drink much of it on the regular, but like if I'm in the rare instance where I want something like that, like like I'll have a Red Bull like if I'm in Vegas or like in a bar, like I'll get like a vodka Red Bull.
Right.
But yeah, but yes, but I'm a fan of the sugar-free Red Bull on occasion. That is true. Mad caffeine in that, yo.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think I'm not really lacking in caffeine, but it's nice to have that option. So, what have you been reading?
Well, of course, my intro was a nod, as you astutely picked up on, to our longtime friend and wonderful creator, Mr. Tom Scioli, who we were able to catch up with a bit at Heroes a few months back, and I think it's fair to say we've talked about just about everything he's ever done on the show. I mean, I say about because I mean he's like Jim Rugg in that they're pretty prolific with like the non-published zines and stuff. So it's possible like one or two of those snuck through without ever a formal review. But I mean, if you think about like his career has basically coincided with our years of doing the show, and if you go back to Freedom Force, I know we talked about that. Godland, of course, was probably the first thing we talked
American
about
Barbarian.
Many times. Transformers versus G.I. Joe, certainly. American Barbarian, the GoBots, and then, of course, this more recent string of graphic novels. You know, he's got the FF Grand Design, the Jack Kirby GN, I Am Stan Lee GN, and then most recently, I know that we spoke about Vince led the charge there on Godzilla's Monster Piece Theater. So yeah, I think we've pretty much, we've covered my dude pretty aggressively with good reason. Love his work, and so I knew that we've known that he was working on space opera Xanadax: Across the Unknown Dimensions of the Galaxy, and that came out last month through Image. I think I got it maybe 2 weeks ago, but it's because I was traveling. I hadn't opened up the shipments until this week, but opened it up, saw that. I saw a bunch of the new books that I had waiting for me, and this went right to the top of the stack, because I know that Tom's never going to disappoint, and he did not. This is a cosmic space odyssey, and it is drawn in a way that I think really works for the subject matter. I would say for those that are familiar with Tom's work, he is a true visual chameleon. He's capable of telling stories in so many different styles and mediums, right? Like he'll do traditional pen and ink with digital coloring. He's done. He'll do watercolor. He'll do. He's a fan of crayon. He'll do colored pencil. The guy's, he's a jack of all the trades. Or master of all the trades, because the expression "jack of all trades, master of none" doesn't apply here. I think Tom's a master of them all. This is much more in the lane of the indie comics with an X style that he's done with things like American Barbarian. Much looser. You get the sense he's just kind of letting it fly. He's not worried about precision of line here as much as the energy and the kineticism of the story, and I think that really works. It's a fairly simple story. It's we're introduced to Xanadax, who is a manly man, sort of John Carter of Mars, bare-chested adventurer who's got a cybernetic half face, and he's got energy claws that are very evocative of Wolverine if he had energy claws instead of adamantium claws, and we meet him in a time of peril. He's on some kind of space bridge, and there's this cadre of robotic, or if they're not robots, they're like people with inside of robotic suits, but these giant robotic looking sentries that are closing in on him, and then there's a ne'er-do-well, his nemesis, basically telling the sentries to kill him, and we quickly find out that ne'er-do-well is his brother, and for some reason his brother wants him dead and kills him, or he thinks he kills him, right? And obviously the whole graphic novel is about Xanadax, so spoilers, he didn't kill him in the first page, but he's left for dead, and then we kind of have a cutscene, and we go to an entirely different part of the cosmos, and we meet the antagonist of the book, known simply as Cosmic Enemy Number 1, and he's another Kirby-esque creature looking. He's massively powerful and and muscular, and looks a lot like Blastar. You
Yep.
remember
Yep.
Blastar?
Yep.
Yeah, it
Yep.
looks a lot like Blastar.
Exactly
to
what I
me.
was thinking.
Okay, cool. And he's sort of captured, but then he escapes. But then the people that he's trying to take over their planet they trap him again in this crystalline prison, but and send him out into space, and he's kind of floating through space. But then we meet cutscene again to a group of space pirates, led by a femme fatale. I don't believe we ever get her name. At least I don't recall ever getting her name. But she is, there's a woman who's kind of leading this group of space pirates, and they're battling with planetary forces. And during the battle, of course, an errant laser beam, shatters the cosmic enemy number one's crystalline prison, freeing him, and thus he can wreak havoc once again. And as you can imagine, eventually all of these people and their adventures intertwine into a very satisfying climax, which I'll leave to you, dear readers, to check out yourself. But this was a blast. Super fast read. As I said, I mean, just, Tom being Tom, playing with a lot of themes and visual aesthetics that we know he's a fan of, and I think he does really well. And it was just a blast. I think anytime I read Tom's work, I come away with a smile on my face. And I think this is more of the same. So my only nitpick, and this is a me thing, not a him thing, is that it's a soft cover trade paperback and not a hardcover. Because I so much prefer hardcovers these days to trade paperbacks, which feel just very ephemeral to me. But nevertheless, I'm sure that was a budgetary thing. Comics market's not exactly red hot these days, so you gotta know the market. So it was probably the smart decision to do it in paperback because it was able to be cheaper. But either way, putting that very small nit aside, if you're a fan of Scioli's work in general, or you're a fan of European-esque cosmic space odyssey work that we got a lot of in the 70s, and then we still get it, but it's, I think, most pronounced from the 70s Metal Hurlon type of a phase, you will love this book, as I did. So check it out.
I've enjoyed. I mean, of course, enjoyed Godland. This is, I'm not saying this reminds me. I was going to say it kind of reminds me of American Barbarian. The reason
visually it's very much like that, I think. Yeah,
as opposed to like with Masterpiece Theater, I enjoyed it, but those were public domain characters. Whereas this is just Tom having fun. He's going wild. You can see it on every page. He's having an absolute blast. Whatever he's putting down on the page, this feels very, very Tom. It's I don't know if I've ever seen Tom unfiltered, but I imagine it would be, because there's some pages, no panel borders, just completely open, maybe 3 panels, and then the center panel is the one that's got like some more spot color to it. But some pages almost have like a kind of a sketchbooky kind of feel, but it's just it feels very alive. There's an energy on the page. I like it a lot. I haven't finished it yet.
It's kind of like a zine aesthetic, even though it's obviously an image trade paperback. Yeah.
I'm very happy with it. I've been flipping through it. I need to finish it, but yeah, it looks great. Good for Tom.
Most def. Absolutely.
Let's see. I didn't listen to your parts from last week while I was putting the episode together. I did listen to it the other day, and we are, as I was walking and listening to your thoughts, especially on say Spider-Gwen, while I could appreciate the kind of kinetic feel of the art on All New Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider. You're absolutely spot on when it comes to whether or not it's a very welcome is not the right word, but accessible. It's not it's not an accessible first issue at all. And I mentioned that I have fallen behind on the previous volume that Phillips was writing, and so even the barely a paragraph from the recap page or the credits page wasn't enough to kind of get you up to speed. It felt like a it did feel sparse considering everything that was going on that they were trying to accomplish, whether it's Prowler's son or the band or just even a conversation with Dad. It was kind of breezed through everything. But as you said, I give a lot of leeway when it comes to Spider-Gwen, so I'll be back to check out the second issue. The Justice League Red, we have the same feelings on that. You can't. I understand with the trade dress with all the new all-in first issues, the covers are going to be that white background with the characters in an action pose, and in this case with a team book, you're going to see the team even if you're not going to see the whole team in the interiors, and that was that was a bit of a bummer. As great as Clayton looked, as much as I enjoyed the art, even though, and that was probably what drew me to it, no pun intended, was that Clayton was drawing it. Red Tornado, of course, being Red Tornado was a Justice League fixture in the 80s. And so I have an appreciation for the character there. I am not. When it comes to that new era of Green Lantern, Simon, but especially because he had he had the 9mm. I was never really a fan of Simon, but it's not like I really gave him a fair shot. So there were probably more things stacked against Justice League Red, but there were a couple of things that wanted me to get to try it. But yeah, I'm kind of on. If I miss the second issue, I'm probably not gonna be into the world, but I'll probably keep an eye out for it anyway. And what was the an Escape? Yeah, Escape. We were absolutely Escape. We were very much in alignment there. It was a grittier Acuna than we're used to, but the subject matter kind of warrants that. So it was,
and also something felt different from Remender. I mean, obviously, he's not one for doing sort of, and we'll see where the story goes, of course. But classic hard war is not something we've seen him do before.
Right. Yeah. It's way different. Deadly Class or Sacrifices or I mean, it's just it. But Batman, I hadn't finished before I sat down to record, so I heard.
I'm surprised you even read it.
I did because it's not Zdarsky, because Jorge is still drawing it.
Yeah, that's an interesting it's like you have the magnetic attraction of Jorge and then the magnetic repulsion for you of Zdarsky.
Right. So, and even when James the Fourth was writing it, I still, and he gave us punchline and everything. I was also not reading the James run because it wasn't a protest, but it was just it on Tom's behalf, it stung for me. So it was hard for me to continue reading.
I haven't read, to your point, I haven't read Batman proper until this most recent issue, and since Tom left either. And again, that's probably us fighting a war that we long since need to fight, because Tom's
good.
About 200 other DC comics since then, and his B is if not already close to being a millionaire from other stuff he's working on. He's writing movies and TV shows now, so he good. But
yep,
yes,
you can eat.
I'm with you.
But yeah, no, I figured Fraction on Batman should be fun. And
Fraction. I said Zdarsky. I'm sorry.
Well, no, it was the previous run was Zdarsky, which is why I wasn't reading that.
But I was thinking this one. No, it's Fraction, which is not under propulsion for you.
Yes,
that's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, it was that, and this was extremely accessible. I mean, I don't know anybody who hasn't been reading Batman who isn't aware of Alfred's current state. But I am curious to know if I couldn't really tell if this was like a holographic AI or if this is just an imagined, if this is just Bruce just thinking of talking to Alfred, even though physically Alfred isn't there, nobody can see Alfred, obviously, but just for.
Oh, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I wasn't sure if Alfred was just back to life, like, because it's again, I don't read DC continuity with
I don't think he is.
So
I think he's still dead.
Okay, that makes sense then. Yeah, okay. I didn't even really. Okay, yep. I just kind of assumed like, oh, maybe he's back, but yeah, it makes sense. What you're saying makes more sense.
So there was that, and I mean, it's great to see Jim Gordon on the first page, even though now he's a beat cop again, and then it clicked. You turn a page or two, and then you see the current commissioner. So we automatically know that Vince will never.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
This Batman.
I was going to say, any chance we had of Vince reading this went out the door with that.
Yeah. But it was. I mean, the colors were great. Jorge looked amazing. I like the little bits here and there, the info dumps, like with the Batwing or his little high tech goggles, or anything that anything bat related. We kind of we get a little bit of a little tech, like the VOCom and or the vocal ID, little things like that, because he's telling the Batmobile to make sure that the women stay safe, and but yeah, it was great. Even the Bat Gauntlet. So I like that little kind of Iron Man-esque aspect to it, but it's I do feel bad for Killer Croc. Not really keen on
needs a new dentist, man,
in this state. Yeah, and it's weird because there's this, and then of course if you read Absolute Batman, which you did, it is not Wayland's year, man. I feel bad for Killer Croc. I just don't know. I was gonna have to. It's like in any universe, whether it's the all in or the absolute, my man just can't live. So it's it does suck. But yeah, and then we've got, and I like the it's not really a callback. There was a time in the 80s when Bruce was not operating out of the Batcave and Wayne Manor, and he was actually in
that high tower, or
he was in the penthouse in Gotham City proper. So yeah, this Upper West Side Pennyworth Manor is kind of brings me back to that, even though it's not quite the same, but close. But yeah, and great last page, kind of cliffhanger with Robin in the current state of how vigilantes are being treated in Gotham. But yeah, this was a solid first issue, so I will definitely be back for the second. And it's funny because I saw a post from Hassan, who of course picked up every single cover and the giant size Treasury edition of the first issue.
Really? Which I didn't know Hassan was about those variant covers. I didn't know that.
it's unreal.
Being serious. I didn't know.
Really?
I'm being completely genuine. I didn't know.
I think it might depend on the subject matter. I mean, it's a new #1, and it's Batman, so he probably, like, I don't think he would do that. If he's collecting Poison Ivy every month, I don't think he's going to go for the variants for those.
Right.
But something like this, and being the character that it is, I could definitely. It does not surprise.
Well, I'm never going to kink shame because my kinks are plenty. So
that is true. Yes.
Do you, Hassan? But yeah, I'm surprised by that.
But I can only imagine how beautiful those Jimenez pages look in the blown up version. But sure. Yeah, it was a good few. It was a great first issue. Another first issue. Now that the recaps are done, in keeping with DC and Batman's corner of the universe, I gave the DC's first, what they call it, like first mature reader in universe DC title that isn't a Black Label, that isn't an Elseworlds. They cuss for real, but this is Red Hood #1, written by Gretchen Felker-Martin, art by Jeff Spokes, who I'm guessing also does colors because the next credit is Becca Carey, who does letters. But I am not familiar with Spokes, but I wouldn't mind getting to know more based on his first issue. The cover, the in-house ad, which is basically the cover, is what kind of drew me to it, because I know everybody does this. I'm not just going to point fingers at DC, but regardless of who does the covers, the cover artist is generally not the same as the interior. So this was nice to see, because the cover is by Spokes, and even though it's just Red Hood and Huntress, I did like the look of it. So I figured, all right, if the interiors are kind of close to this, I'll give it a shot. And the interiors are. I'm not the it's a very the art, in a way, parts of it reminds me of Stuart Immonen in a way, but it's more detailed than what Stuart does with characters. But it also reminds me of he drew that Warren Ellis The Wildstorm book. Was it oh crap, Height? H-A-I. The style is this. I like the style. I like Spokes' art. It's this first issue, though. If I know nothing, I'm on record, of course, as I've never been a Jason Todd. I haven't been a big Jason Todd fan. When he was first introduced, he was Dick Grayson 2.0. His parent, he was an acrobat. His parents were acrobats. It was Killer Croc who had ended up killing his parents, and it was a redo of Dick Grayson, and so Batman takes him on as his ward, becomes Robin, and then the crisis happens, and they completely retcon the character, and they turn him into a young thug, and the only reason he comes across Batman's path is because he's trying to steal the wheels off of the Batmobile. And from that point on, he was pretty much just always like this punk who rubbed me the wrong way. And were I able to, I would have called in to have him killed. But I couldn't. I didn't. It still went my way anyway, and that was fine. And then, of course, Superboy Prime, Infinite Crisis, Red Hood is introduced or reintroduced, and we find out it's Jason Todd, and he's back, and great. So, while I've never been super big on Red Hood, as I'm getting older, I figure, you know what, let me expand my horizons a little bit. Let me not hold on to certain stigmas or grudges, or maybe loosen up a little bit. It's a first issue. I like the way this looks. Let me give it a shot. This is apparently this is after whatever fallout happened with the Hush sequel, and Jason Todd has moved to New Angelique, which seems to be very New Orleans-esque. There's a it's definitely the vibe I get. Kind of very. There's a couple characters that just feel very Cajun-y, but there's a mystery pretty much right off the bat where we're looking at a video clip on an iPhone. There's a police officer who's been killed. The person who, I'm assuming, killed the cop turns to the camera and says, "The tower says hello," puts the gun under his chin, pulls the trigger, and so Jason is watching these videos over and over again. There's 3 videos, all the same: a victim, then the tower, then the tower says hello, and then they commit suicide, and then that's it. So as soon as I didn't pick it up when I originally saw this panel of the three shooters. You'll see it at on the last page, but he all the victims are the shooters and the victims all trace back to New Angelique, and they're all cops. The victims and the shooters, current or former, every last one of them went through the New Angelique Police Department at one time or another, and so Jason is on a mission, and he is going to he's going to meet not a friend, but he's going to meet someone who's known as Royale, and he this character wears a Nolans inspired face mask. He's looks like he wears it. There's a whole cloak with the hood and the cape. Jason's coming to him looking for answers, and so Jason just wants records for the officers that were killed, anything, duty logs, arrest reports, anything like that. So Royale's off to do this favor. Jason goes back home, and Huntress is there chilling, and she's in town because she knew Jason was in town, figured he could use some company, and Jason just wants to know if anybody from the family sent her, whether it's to check on him, spy on him, whatever. She goes, nobody sent me here. So it's obvious you're here to find out what's going on with these killings. I want in. And Robin's like, yeah, no. I'm sorry. Jason's like, yeah, that's not happening. I don't want your help or your company. So you can head back to Gotham. She's letting him know you're out of your depth, but have it your way, and she bails. So the next day, Jason is still on the hunt. He goes back to this church where he had met Royal, and he starts getting shot at. This is one of the nits I have is the panel layout, and because of the narrowness of the panels, you don't get full figures, and I mean it's cinematic, and you can kind of move, you can follow things along, but because of the size of the panels, things are a little confusing. But Jason overcomes the 3 or 4 dudes that are shooting at him and beating him up, and this is when you're reading a mature label book, because one of the thugs shoots his partner when Jason moves, says, "You're gonna pay for that, you piece of shit," and then says, "Get that mask off him. I want to see this shitbird's face." So you know this isn't a PG-13 title, and now Jason does get shot, makes his way through the rest of the church trying to get away. Royal shows up and kicks Jason in the back. They fall through a window. Now they're on the roof, and Jason is wanting answers. How much did they pay you? And Royale's like, listen, it's not personal. You were just you pulled on the wrong fucking thread is all. And they just keep so Royale's beating on Jason. When the thugs show up, they ask, they're ready to help join in on the fun, and before Royale can finish saying that he's got him, one of the thugs gets an arrow through the thigh, and while that happens and Royale is stunned momentarily, Jason's able to grab his gun and blows him away in the face and in the chest. Royale falls, and while the Huntress shoots arrows in the legs of the other couple of guys, and Huntress and Red Hood and get away. We now are introduced to a new character who's a detective. She shows up. They're finally going to be able to find out who Royale was. And apparently, I don't know if Royale was introduced in this issue, because Jason says that he was working with Royale years ago when he was running weapons out of Serbia. So I don't know if maybe this character was in the previous one of the Red Hood series. But in any case, I don't know if he's ever coming back from this. She says we're going to have to run his teeth against dental records to find out who the hell this character was. So they're wrapping up this crime scene. She goes home and tells her husband, I need you, and I need you to take the kids. They have two young children. I need you to take the kids to your mom's place. We've got there were 2 bodies out at Our Lady of the Sacred Heart, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. So take the kids, go to your mom's, and I'll call you later. So he does. He packs up their stuff, throws them in the car. They take off. There's a phone call, and we don't know what's on the other side of the phone call, except Pearson, who I'm guessing is either a partner or one of the other cops in the precinct. She goes, all right, fine, I'll be there in 15. And she puts her coat on. Before she gets out to the car, there's another phone call. It's an unknown caller. And then we hear the person on the other end say, in a very warped kind of voice, I know where you are. And as she grabs her head, and the voice says, this is the tower, Henrietta. There's no point fighting. I see you. And the last panel, as she's kind of wigging out, if you look at her left eye, there are 2 pupils. And it looks like it's not a scar, but it looks like one of those, like the Strigoi. It looks like a strain. It looks like one of those little wiry worms crawling up towards her eye. So I saw that eye. I went back to the early part of the issue, and all 3 shooters, their left eye also had. So something's infecting them. Something's doing this. It was a pretty solid first issue. Like I said, I enjoy the art. Not familiar with the creative team at all. No idea who Felker-Martin is, but I think there's enough here, especially with the Huntress. But yeah, I think I'll be back for the second issue. This was a very, very pleasant surprise. I had no expectations going in. Figured, based on my history with Jason Todd with Red Hood, it'd probably just be a done in one. But no, there's enough of an interesting hook here where, as long as he's not super mopey and always complaining about, how the other Robins were always better and he was never Bruce's favorite or ever like that, I'll be okay. So yeah, I'll be back to check out the second issue of Red Hood. I was close to impressed with this.
Nice. I mean, quasi nice, I guess. Close to impressed.
Considering, I mean, yeah, it had a big uphill battle, and I think it overcame.
You read it anyway.
I did, yeah. Go me.
Why take the plunge? Considering there's 8,000 comics you could have read if it had an uphill battle. I'm just curious what drove that.
To find out, well, basically for new talent, because like I said, I'm not familiar with Spokes, but the art, I really like the art here, and Huntress. It's weird. I mean, it's not like she's really not a character I ever talk about, but yeah, I do. Going back to the Earth 2 days when she was she was literally related to the Batman family, and she and the Earth 2 Robin were a couple. I like Huntress as a character, even though It's not like I read a ton of Birds of Prey in the '90s when she was part of it, but yeah, I like Huntress. It should be an interesting team. These two characters, and there's enough of a there's this mystery now. I'm kind of I'm curious to see where it goes, and it definitely feels like it's removed enough from the Bat universe where I don't have to really worry about Damian popping up and saying, "Hey, I heard you need a hand."
Okay,
so
yeah.
I just, if this is gonna be a standalone book where Red is just trying to solve a mystery and be a badass about it, I can give it some leeway. So I'll be here for at least the first couple issues, I think.
Nice. Well, I have something that I didn't need to put any qualifiers on to talk about how much I liked it.
Okay.
And it's a book again I'm sure a very big chunk of the people who have already ordered this book are EOC community members and EOC peeps, because it's our boo. It's our boo Matthew Allison, frequent guest of the show.
Nice.
Certainly in the, I don't know, is he? I was going to say like top 5 in terms of most appearances. If not, he's very close to it.
He is very close. Yeah.
Because he's been on quite a few times.
Yeah.
But either way, it is Sweet Sepulcher. The first issue, I received it yesterday in the mail. It was nice. It was New Comic Book Day, and although this wasn't on the stands per se, I did receive my copy in the mail from Matthew. This was a book that he originally attempted to crowdfund and didn't quite meet his goal. But fortunately for many of us, he decided to take the plunge and self-publish it and solicit it through his website. And as I predicted, it was a worthy decision because he, I think, had no problem selling copies directly, including to myself. It's Matthew is another one of those creators that takes such great pride in not only the work itself but also the packaging. And this is just a beautiful comic with very, very high gloss cover paper stock, and then the interior paper is just beautifully lush and thick. It's just it just oozes high end, even though it's a quote unquote floppy. And Sweet Sepulcher is an idea that Matthew's bandied about in different ways over the years. I believe the intent of this is for it to be a multi-issue series, if sales and opportunity permit. That is going to be a horror-tinged anthology. This first issue is essentially a look at it's a sci-fi tale, and we are introduced in anthology form with a bunch of different characters. There's this character named Ellsworth, which kind of looks like if Goofy from Disney was sucked into the Allison visual universe, what he would look like. And it's this skinny, sort of floppy, frail looking dude with jacked up teeth, and he's got a gigantic nose, like the size of like your leg, and but he's a anthropomorphic dog reminiscent of Pluto. And he's watching porn in a room, and we meet him and his roommate, and then we kind of jump to another whole set of characters, and we meet Link Trainer and his lunar patrol, and the characters Freddy Portsaby, Dr. Clay Fabian, and Ketchup, and they're flying around in a spaceship heading to a mission. And this is Freddy's first mission, working for this unit, and his job is to land on a populated moon and rescue the last remaining kids from the planet. As it turns out, back in the 50s, during the Dr. Wortham, censorship of comics, in this universe, they packaged up all of the comic book nerds who just like us, who just bought and read tons of comics, and literally sent them to a moon and exiled them. And so in this story, Freddy has to come and pick them up 20 years later, And as he finds out when he lands on the planet, the vast majority of the kids are dead, because in this universe, the comic book nerds, were in fact bad people and evil. Because again, so it's very meta, right? Like for those that don't know the Wortham story, the idea was that comics were corrupting young kids' minds, and so in this world, in fact, he was right. And so they send these kids away, and these kids were pretty awful people, and so they all end up over the 20 years killing each other essentially, such that there's only 3 remaining, and Freddy encounters the 3, and they have their sights set on killing Freddy and taking his spaceship and escaping themselves, even though he's there to rescue them, which is it's kind of weird. But the kids don't look like normal kids anymore. No, they look like deformed, monstrous creatures. And at first, I was looking at them thinking, like these visuals feel a little familiar to me, and I was trying to figure out where. And then it dawned on me, and of course we can ask Matthew this directly, but I think Matthew is channeling Ed Big Daddy Roth, with these character designs. Like because there's even a point when Freddy, the would-be rescuer, ingests some of the local food, and as we learn, the conditions on this planet are such that when you ingest enough of this stuff, you turn into one of these monsters. They sort of take on a different form, and he takes on a form that very much looks like the Ed Roth character, who the big pointy hat, the Wild Child, the one that wore the piggy hat and rode in the souped up drag racer or whatever. So very fun to see Matthew playing with those character designs in a sci-fi narrative. And then we get a backstory on one of the characters named Chipper Lucianat, and how he involved, and it's super fun, and the thing about it, right, is that as we have talked about, and as Vince has sort of championed, I mean, Matthew's visual voice is so distinctive, and just leaves an indelible mark. And I think that this is one of those books where, in lesser hands, I don't know that it would have been nearly as engaging, but because these characters are visually so stunning and malformed, but in a way that you can't take your eyes off of them, it really propels the story. And then we on top of that, as if that weren't enough, we get a little Kanker story in the back. I think we get like a 6 or 8 page Kanker story. Yeah, I think it's an 8-pager. So awesome, well done. I believe the best way to get this, if you haven't already ordered it, is to go to Matthew Allison's website. He's on all the socials, but if you search for Matthew Allison, it'll pull up a bunch of links behind it. But I think getting it directly from him, I believe, is the way to go here. And the more we can support this issue, the more likely and the more rapidly we will get number 2 and then 3. So again, not a surprise. Much like with Scioli, this was a low risk transaction, right? There was no chance of me not enjoying this book, regardless of what was inside the pages, inside the cover. And so I didn't have any doubts that I would, having read it, would be able to come on and say nice things about it. But it's genuinely fun to see him stretching his muscles to do something different than Kanker, which of course we all love Kanker, but I like this idea of him playing with a anthology style where he tries different visual aesthetics with each story, and it really excites me for what it's going to be like when we get the entire run, because as Matthew is one of those people that can just blow you away with his character creation, and I think that he's got an interesting thing to say in this series about media and violence and American consumerism, all things that I think were pertinent back then in the 50s, certainly when Dr. Wortham was dealing with this stuff, but then I think in today's day and age are all the more pertinent given the world we live in today, and how important and obsessive media consumption has become for all of us. So Matthew's our boo, but I would be raving about this book if we had never met the man. So please do, if you haven't already, checked out or ordered Sweet Sepulcher #1, written, drawn, lettered, colored, edited by Mr. Allison.
Nice. My copy is downstairs because my dumbass forgot to put it in my bag to take it to work.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I mean, again, I didn't really get in any spoilers or anything.
No, it's fine.
No, it's a, yeah. I mean, again, a no-brainer. Sort of like preaching to the choir here. Telling our EOC listenership to try out Matthew Allison isn't exactly a big ask.
And it's what I love about our community is that more often than not, unless Matthew lets Vince know, more often than not, somebody on the Slack will say, "Hey, Matthew Allison is offering some book." So that's when I find out if he's got something new. Because I guess I'm not on the mailing list, but it's great to see, and I love the fact that as soon as someone mentions that Matthew has something coming out, everybody runs to go check it out. So I received that on Tuesday, and so that was a great birthday present, and then yesterday Drome arrived. So I still haven't listened to your review of it yet because I got to get through it. So I'm hoping to crack it open this weekend. And jump.
Well, the only thing I'll leave you with, since you haven't listened to my review, is that if you don't like it, do not come on here and say that.
Right. Yes. That I know. I did catch the very end, where basically you were like, "Yeah, this is one of those things where you were going to judge people based on."
I will side on the fuck out of you if you didn't like it.
Yeah. There are. I mean, we actually that would make a. I would. For anybody we haven't discussed out here yet. We've discussed it internally. We mentioned to the folks on the Slack. I teased it in the update reel, but maybe I would really like to hear if people come on next week and chat with us for a few minutes. I'd be curious to know as a topic what books do they hold near and dear that they would side eye someone if they poo-pooed their favorite.
That's true. That's a good one.
I have a feeling there's probably going to be some overlap, and there's probably going to be some where if they say a book, I'll be like Cuban Tucker and Friday and lean back in the chair because we've got a few. I know I've got a couple off the top of my head, but
I spoke to Jesse actually after I read it and wrote it up on the best thing I read last week, because, as you know, but for those that maybe don't see the column, I read a weekly column called Best Thing I Read This Week, and it's just as you can imagine, it's the best comic I read that week, and it doesn't have to be a comic that came out that week. It's just a little thing that I read that week that I thought was the most enjoyable. For Drome, it was I changed the column to the best thing I read this year. Because it is the best thing I read this year, and we're already now in September, and I would be gobsmacked if something dethrones it. Not impossible. I mean, 4 months is a long time, a lot of comics to read, but I pinged Jesse to let him know how much I enjoyed the book and to point him to the audio and written reviews. But I knew this going in. I prefaced this. Jesse does not read his own reviews, good or bad. He just doesn't. It's just like a.
I can respect that.
Yeah, totally. No, and I'm sure he's not alone in that. So I said, listen, I know you don't generally read reviews, and so I'm not sending you the review. I said, but I wanted you to know that I adored the book. I think it's one of the, for me, it's the best thing I've read this year, and I genuinely think it's fantastic. And kudos to you, my friend, and just wanted to let you know that. I said I did do a reasonably detailed written review and a 20-minute audio review of it as well, but I know that's not your stilo, so I'm not sending them to you. But if by chance you do want to read or see it or hear it, I'm happy to send you it. And he wrote back very quickly saying, thank you so much, it's very kind of you to say, but yeah, right, I honestly, he's like, I know it's weird, but I don't he's like, I don't need to see it, but I do appreciate the kind thoughts and kind words. And I'm like, all right, perfect. So yeah, so so he knows how I feel about it, and hopefully yeah. I look forward to you reading it. I would be stunned in all legitimacy if you didn't enjoy it. I do not require a review that you think it's the best thing you read this year. That is not, I'm not gonna make that the high. I'm not gonna make that the bar, but I certainly think it's an impeccably well done book. And you know, I've been a fan of Jesse's work for a long time, but to me, this is one of those moments in a person's career where it just all kind of comes together, you know, and kind of just like drop the mic type of a thing for me. So
I love it.
Love to see it. I hope my enjoyment of it is evocative of the broader comics community, because I genuinely in my heart of hearts believe this could, you know, win him an Eisner or two. I really do think that, but we'll see. We won't know that until next summer.
So we have to make sure that it stays in the zeitgeist and people are aware of it come award season.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that does bum me out at times when something comes out shortly after the awards were given out, and then, you know, it's 10, 11 months later, and everybody's like, well, what happened with that? And it was just poor timing. But I mean, that's not the case here. So I'm and I think this is probably the only 23rd Street book I own, because I am not familiar with this publisher.
No, I talked about that in my review. I said, if I apologize to 23rd Street if they have put out other comics work. I'm not familiar with them until now, but I will, on the strength of this collaboration, I look forward to what else they have coming. So
I've got it, yeah. And it's we say it, or at least I say it constantly, how we are inundated and overcome with books we still have to read while new books come in. And right here under Jerome, first of all, on this stack right next to me, I have Jerome on top. Then I have Ghost of Science Past, which Joseph Siraki gave me at Heroes, and that of course is illustrated by Jesse.
Indeed,
and then right underneath that is Kayla E's Precious Rubbish, which I still have to get through. So I mean, I am not hurting for things to read. So yeah, you're not. Mm-hmm. Your question wasn't out of left field to say, why are you bothering with something you may not like when you've got plenty of other things to read? But yes, but there is a big difference between a few 100-page book and a 20-odd page comic. So
that is true. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, no, I am definitely looking forward to digging into Jerome. There was, going over our list, there was at least one thing we can tag team on, because I just read Redcoat number 14 before sitting down tonight, but I know you were catching up and you read the previous issue as well.
Which was
so
that,
I'll let you start with
13 was the end of the last arc, and then 14
right with the Northerner, yeah,
like really more of a bridge issue, prelude to the next arc.
Yes. What'd you think of the Northerner? That whole time
big
travel
fan, you know,
aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I was late to the party on the Redcoat, just because I guess because of at first the art, I wasn't sure I liked the art as much as you guys did, but I came around on it. No, I think it's a great series. It is probably my favorite series in that John's universe. Yeah, I'd say that's fair. And I thought that the idea of, you know, a black man who's got to travel back to prevent a civil war reality from, you know, basically being changed such that the Confederacy wins, is certainly aligned with my worldviews, right? And obviously very pertinent in the times we're living in. So, but what I liked about it is while it's certainly topically, you know, a pertinent social issue, it's not. The nature of the book is such that it's far enough steeped in escapism that like it doesn't feel, because sometimes you don't want to read, like, there's enough shit going on in the real world that you kind of read comics to escape it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But this didn't feel like you were being, like, preached to, even though obviously the topic is very, very much timely. So I thought it was great. I thought it was a great adventure, and I thought, I think Johns has always done characters well. I think he's always done character building well. He's always had a knack for making you feel connected to a character, even if you've never, if you're just meeting them or only had an issue or two of them. I think that's one of his innate skills and why he's been at or near the top of the comics heap, at least when he's chosen to be writing comics for a long time. And I think that's shown through in this arc as well. So really liked it. As to issue 14, that to me felt very much like not a filler issue, but like a bridge issue. It felt a little slight to me, if I'm being honest. I mean, and again, it's marketed as a prelude, so I don't know that it's like, I don't know if they're trying to like pull the fast one on us, but I definitely did feel the preludeness, if that's such a word, to it, right? Like I'm not quite sure we couldn't have just jumped into the fray of the event itself. But again, I didn't dislike it. But it definitely felt less than to me in terms of the meatiness of the story. But again, I don't mean that as a complaint. That's just how I see it. So, how about you?
I enjoyed it. I mean, the Northerner storyline was a lot of fun. It's because I'm a sucker for time travel anyway. But 14, yeah, I mean, as it says right on the cover, it's the first Ghost prelude. But
yeah,
it's 1814, August 24th, 1814. The White House is burning, and people are evacuating, and Simon is there because he was threatened with a good time. He was going to visit a friend for a drink and some nosh, and only to find out that Admiral George Cockburn has shown up and is trying to basically take over and lay waste to our capital. And while Simon is running through this house and trying to escape as the house is on fire, a woman runs past him, only to find out that it's Dolly Madison, and she is trying to rescue a portrait of our first president. And all while doing this, of course, Simon has to make the comments about sarcastically what a great man Washington was, having able to meet him. But while they are trying to escape with this painting, they bump into Cockburn, and that's when they have pretty much a short-lived duel. But yeah, once they're able to get out of the house, yeah, things kind of we get to the end of this particular story for Simon, only to jump ahead to the present day and see the current inhabitant of the White House, and
props for being a female Madam President.
Yes, and we get we get a cute little story about an anonymous person who was also painted and is hanging up in the Oval, and nobody knows who this person is, and
we know.
Legend has it, and we know, but yes, of course, anybody after Dolly isn't going to know, and so this is a mystery and a cute little story that presidents can tell from one to the next. But yeah, but every time I felt like this issue ended, something else kept it going. So the 1814 story ends, and then we jump ahead to the present day, and then after we see the portrait of, actually no, I'm sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. That the portrait of Simon, of course, is at the end, but in between 1814 and today, there's there's an appearance of a character we saw early on in the Redcoat run, who will possibly be making a return, and if that's the case, will likely make Simon's life miserable. But it was considering how the previous year's worth of stories were presented and how they flowed. This I wouldn't have. I mean, I'm glad Hitch drew it, but this was the kind of issue where it would not have surprised me if someone else took over the art duties for it, just because it continues Simon's story, of course, and we still get a day in his life, but it didn't feel like it was. Even the Annie Oakley issue kind of felt more like what I would expect from a Redcoat story. This one did feel just like it definitely, not a reset, but yes, we had all this excitement prior to this issue. We're gonna catch our breath. We're just gonna, even though the White House is on fire and Simon's being threatened again, we're still gonna be able to kind of catch our breath before we can move forward on this next multi-chapter adventure, and of a great importance, according to this solicit, where we begin with the year 1909. So, which it's and even if you look at the wraparound cover for 14, whereas the front end, the title portion of the cover, just shows you what to expect with the insides, with the White House on fire and the British attacking Simon, but on the back cover, you get the present day with the current president. I'm guessing her son, possibly the first husband. I'm not quite sure. Maybe an older version of the Northerner. It's a tease of what's to come on the back cover. So it's not. I mean, I'm glad they didn't renumber it. I'm glad this isn't a new number one and we're starting over from here. But it like you said, it felt like it even if it didn't, reading it as it's happening may not have felt slight. But yeah, when it was over, it didn't. It was lighter fare, if I'll say that. But yeah, it was,
and again, by design, so it's not.
I
don't mean that as like a
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it still continues the tale where we know you know what you're getting, but yeah, it was definitely a time to maybe just collect yourself. But yeah, definitely a fun issue, and it's I like that Johns is getting a little bit more looser with jumping around with things, because this isn't he did jump around earlier when Einstein was getting older and Simon went to go visit him, and then we went back, of course, in time so he can continue those stories. But yeah, it's nice to see Johns kind of we're not just getting a straightforward from 1776 watching Simon through the years. Johns is able to kind of tell a story by jumping around the centuries in order to set the stage. So I appreciate the storytelling here, and I mean, and Johns, we've known Johns has had stuff for a minute. It's not unusual. I mean, but the fact that and while he was writing a few things at the time back in the early aughts for DC, I mean, the fact that he's writing Redcoat and Rook when that comes back, and Geiger, and even though it's all set in the same universe, they all feel they're all different enough where it's I can't. You may be able to tell you're reading a Johns book, but they don't. You can't put Geiger in Redcoat and Simon in Rook and have it all play out the same. Everything feels specific to those titles. Those characters all work within those worlds. I mean, Johns is a talent. I'm not going to sugarcoat or anything, but yeah, I can appreciate it, and I'm glad that he's able to have the fun and the ability to really just spread his wings and have his friends join in with the whole Ghost Machine line.
Yeah, and he's eaten too.
For sure.
About him, I mean.
Not at all.
I actually have no idea like how these books are selling, but I don't think it much matters. Like I think they're selling well enough that he's happy to keep doing them.
And he's having a blast with the merch tie-ins too, between T-shirts
Right.
and hats and the coffee. And I know Vince was ordering the coffee. It's wild the things that they'll. And I know that there was a sale because I think they use threadless too for the T-shirts, and there were some
Okay.
really funky designs. There was actually at the show Renee one where there's a baby version, a puppy Barney from Geiger, and it's the cutest looking thing. It almost looks like a Dean Hip kind of drawing, but it's just it's absolutely adorable if you can call a two-headed wolf adorable. But but yeah, it's great stuff.
Nice.
What else we got?
Well, I find myself in an interesting position on this one
Oh,
because, huh, Blood Brothers Mother,
right.
written by Brian Azzarello, drawn by Mr. Risso, Eduardo Risso, published by Distillery. So many competing thoughts on this whole thing. So the reason I'm bringing it up is because the fourth and final issue finally came out, and I say finally because Distillery has, I think, I'm going to say I'm going to be charitable here and say through very little fault of their own, had a really tough time launching as a publishing imprint because they I say like partial. Like I don't want to put. I don't want to give. I don't want to absolve them of all of the blame because I feel like they were already having some delays of import before the whole Diamond bankruptcy thing. But they've been very open and honest, as have many other publishers, that the Diamond bankruptcy has really hurt them financially and made it very difficult for them to continue meeting their previously planned release schedule. And I do have genuine empathy for them on that. So I'm not. So again, I'm gonna go light on the criticism, other than to acknowledge the fact that their release schedule has been almost intolerable as a consumer of single issues. Right now, all of their books are not normal single issues. They're glossy, big single issues that are at least 2 times the size of a normal comic from a page count perspective. So they're meatier for sure, and so most of them had, I think, originally intended to have an every other month release schedule. But if you just go to distillery.com and look at the things that have been solicited, I mean, a great many of them are just unconscionably delayed. Including like the favorite Distillery thing I've read so far is City Beneath Your Feet, and we've gotten one issue and it's been a year. Yeah, it's a problem, right? But putting all that aside, to their credit, we finally got the fourth and final issue of this, and it took about a year for all of this. So, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think this was particularly delayed. But I would say that whether it was, whether the plan was to put this all out over the course of a year or not, because I think they were only a couple months behind, all told. It's my opinion that many of these companies, Distillery included, would just be better off publishing these things as collections, as collected graphics novels, because, and maybe I'm just because I'm getting older, I find it exceedingly difficult to pick up every 3, 4, 5 months with a story and read one issue and remember and feel the same connectivity to it. To me, it's a vastly different ask than buying an ongoing series that is going to come out every month, right? I think we're mentally trained to have that cadence and have enough muscle memory to remember what happened before and feel compelled by the story. But I think you start going beyond that time frame into the 3+ month, and I think it's a big ask. At least it is for me. I can't speak to others readers, but for me, it's a big ask. So I knew after reading the first issue, I thought, okay, this is probably going to be one of those stories best read collected, as a whole, and I just waited patiently for it to be finished, and it's finally finished. Now, needless to say, Azzarello and Risso for me are one of the true paragon partnerships of my comics fandom, right? I mean, as we've discussed a lot, including not so long ago, 100 Bullets is absolutely one of my favorite series of all time. I own, at this point, probably 40 pages from the series. I mean, it is an all-time favorite for me in every way. just reread the entire thing for the third time. Just a huge fan. Now, I will also say that I've read all other Azzarello-Risso collaborations as well. And, I think my enjoyment of them has varied from very much liking to, that's didn't connect with me nearly as much as 100 Bullets. So I didn't go into this thinking it was can't miss, right? But where it gets really complicated for me is that it's a collaborative team I love, and I know artistically it was going to be a book I would love. It was also solicited as a Western, which again, how many conversations have we had over how we love a good Western comic, and there just aren't enough of them. And then on top of it, and this is where the expectations devil on my shoulder comes into play here. In the solicits, they directly compare this book to, if you're a fan of Blood Meridian, you will love this book. Now, many of our listeners may not realize Cormac McCarthy is one of my favorite authors of all time. He is the only person that has 2 of my 5 favorite books ever on the list. So Blood Meridian being one of them. So, that is a top 5 novel for me of all time. I've read it many times. I find it to be perfect, and it is, for those who haven't read it, it is an extremely dark, violent book that is very much McCarthy, I think, working through the idea of humanity being just innately evil. Like, most books have a protagonist hero or an antagonist or anti-hero that you kind of root for. In many of McCormick's in McCarthy's in Cormac's books, that is not the case. And in Blood Meridian, I think most notably, there is no one really to root for. There is the boy who's like structurally the person you're to root for, but I think Cormac writes the book in a way that you fairly quickly come to terms with the fact that the boy himself is a completely morally bankrupt person as well. Just living his own sort of life's journey that is not really driven by any kind of moral or ethical compass. So if you're going to compare a comic to Blood Meridian, for me, you are setting an expectation of greatness. Now, I'm very aware that that's a Jason Wood thing, right? Like most people that read that Distillery solicit, I'm guessing, do not hold Blood Meridian in the same, fondness or the same reverence that I do. So the comparison may not be in any way, shape, or form as big a driver one way or the other to your enjoyment of the book. But for me, it was, okay, it's a Western comic, check. Azzarello and Risso, check. Cormac McCarthy book, check. My favorite Cormac McCarthy book, check. So I'm like, okay, like, this is going to be a fucking, like, absolute euphoric experience for me. As you can probably guess by my very long soliloquy intro, I don't think this hit that mark. And it's very difficult for me because of my intense affection for all of the constituent parts of what this book was supposed to be about, that I don't know if I can effectively, like, intellectually separate all of that weight of expectation from whether or not, if this was just a really good comic, had I not had those expectations. So I will leave it to you and anyone else that's listening that has or will read it to kind of weigh in there, assuming that, I'm pretty sure none of you have the combined weight of expectations on this that I would, right? Like, I'm sure, again, some people love Blood Meridian, some people may love Risso and Azzarello, some people may love Western comics. I doubt many people reading this comic love all three and the combination of them in the way that I might. It's a dark comic, right? And I think that's where the Blood Meridian comparisons come from, because that in and of itself is a dark Western. And so I understand why they decided to compare it to that. But, like, to me, if you're going to compare it to that, this book has to be like really, really dire, really dire and really, really violent. And I think the first issue somewhat lives up to that. And I think the first issue is a good litmus test. If anyone is on the fence about this, read the first issue, and if the first issue puts you off for any way, particularly the level of violence in it, then you just probably shouldn't continue with the story. But I will say that I think from there we get a much more by the numbers Western story of people trying to survive and find their way on their journey. And I will also say, and I'm being vague here because I mean, so much of this story is about like what happens. The premise, of course, which is in the solicit, is 3 young boys. Their father's murdered. Their adoptive father is murdered. Their mother is taken from them, and it's like, what would happen if 3 preteen boys were left to their own devices in the Wild Wild West? So again, a very compelling hook, I think. I mean, you could really do something with that. And that is what the comic is about. But the journey they go on, I think, is... And I feel bad again saying this because I love Azzarello and he's a better writer than I'll ever be 10 times over, but it just feels very predictable to me, the rest of the book. The story as it goes is like... I feel like if I was going to whiteboard what the story was going to be out, I feel like he just kind of did it, and again, I'm being vague here because I don't want to hit the specific plot points because it's like 4 issues and there's one big plot point. But I'm like, okay, check, yeah, I saw that coming. Oh, yep, there's that thing. Okay, we knew that was coming. Oh, and then even the climax, it's like, of course, that's how it is. So, I think this is one of those things where this is probably a far better comic book than I'm left feeling it was, because of my own expectations, which are probably unfair and also not to be matched by most of you. Now, visually, again, I don't want to sell this short. Risso is an absolute master, and he colors his own work here. He paints his work, which is just astounding to see. I wouldn't say that Risso's work here is beautiful, because it is a dark, gritty, violence-filled, dirty Western. So beautiful is probably not the right word, but it is wonderfully illustrated, masterfully illustrated, for what it is. And so the visuals carry a lot of the weight here for me, and I'm glad for it, because I think in lesser hands visually, I probably would be like trashing this book. But the visuals were enough to make this a really worthwhile experience. And again, I want to just close by saying, like, I suspect many of you listening to me talking about this that have also read it are probably like, "What the hell's Woodrow talking about? This was great." And I get that. Like, I'm not gonna cast any shade at anyone that thought this was an absolute home run of a book. But for me, for the reasons I've already mentioned, it did not hit that mark, unfortunately. So I think many of you will still. It's definitely worth reading, again, because I don't think many of you are as overburdened by Blood Meridian comparisons that I was, and as long as you're not in that camp with me, make sure you give this a fair shot when it crosses your path.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, nice. I don't know. Nice, maybe not that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I did when you started talking about it. I did grab the first 2 issues, and then I realized how long it was waiting. So it's just like, well, I didn't know. I didn't know it was only a 4-issue mini. So I was like, well, let me at least wait till the next 3rd issue, and then I'll have a chunk to read. But now that I know it's done, I'll check it out, so I don't have to worry about the wait. But yeah, you definitely. I mean, we could say the same thing about Brubaker and Phillips. Now, there's definitely an expectation you have when you see Azzarello and Risso working together on something. And good or bad, we have 100 issues of 100 bullets to judge their output on, and even though,
yeah, I mean, they've done Spaceman and Moonshine, and
and they did they did Broken City
Logan
with Batman.
Book, and yeah, like they've done lots of things together. It's so as I say, I mean, and my enjoyment of those is ranged. It's not like I've loved every single one of them to the point where I think they can't miss, but yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I hear the creative team, and it's definitely worth checking out. but I guess, yeah. I mean, you throw Blood Meridian in there, and I guess you're gonna have that's good or bad. That's gonna carry some weight. So,
well, and I don't know how many. I mean, honestly, I have no earthly idea.
well, for you, I mean, but yeah, but in
no,
general.
but what I'm saying is like the general readership. Like, I honestly don't even know how many people on the planet have read Blood Meridian. I have no idea. Like, it's an all timer for me.
Well, we definitely know that one dude who's getting the commission from Govar read it. So that we saw at Heroes. That was son of a bitch. That's right. We were waiting for him to finish it. I'm sorry. I thought he was showing us someone else's commission.
No.
My bad. Fuck. All right.
Yeah, he did that for me. No, but yes, but I'm saying I know Crusade loves Cormac.
Okay.
I know that. But I don't know if it's 2% of the people that would come across this comic that have read Blood Meridian. I don't know if it's 20. I honestly have no, like, I know that, again, I know Cormac McCarthy, rest in peace, is well regarded by literary critics and his peer group. I do not honestly have any idea, like, how widely read his work is in the modern day. I don't know. So.
Huh. Okay. All right. Now I'm still going to check it out.
Absolutely. No, I think there's a lot to like here, and I suspect that most people that have read it will find it much better than I did. I suspect. Yourself included.
Good. All right. I don't want us to kind of go out on a little bit of a downer like that, but I am curious. What was going to be your in your travels? Your last item?
What was going to be as?
Oh, what is your?
Well, let me see. I have to look at the list here. I don't have stuff. No. My new travels is going to be the third thing.
Third one. Okay. How was White House Robot Romance? Because I saw that and I'm curious.
Well, again, that's where I confused. Like, I can't imagine this was top of your because it's written by Chip Zdarsky.
Right.
Yeah. So.
But Lieber's the artist, right?
What's that?
Steve Lieber's the artist.
It is what's I can't Rachel Stott.
Oh shit, okay. No, I was thinking of something else then. All right, please.
Yeah. White House Robot Romance. Clever title, very much clever title. And another distillery book, so Distillery-O-Rama, I guess. This is written by Chip Zdarsky and art by Rachel Stott, who I was not particularly familiar with. Her credits in the solicit were Doctor Who and Star Trek, which is why I wouldn't be particularly familiar with her work. But with colors by Tamara Bonvillain, of course, because she colors everything. But I ordered this on the strength of I don't share your pure disdain for Zdarsky as a writer, so I thought, okay. And I did like this preview solicit art. Distillery does a nice job, or at least they used to do. I don't know if they still do because they don't solicit as much anymore, but they used to do a nice job of showing off multiple pages of the book so you got a real sense of the visual aesthetic. And I thought Rachel's art looked great. And I thought the premise seemed kind of fun. It's a disarming sci-fi romance following two kitchen-bound robots who, just as they begin to transcend their programming, become ensnared in a political crisis that threatens to drag America and Canada into war. So fun. Seemed fun. I didn't connect with it. In a way, it just really did feel like a upstairs downstairs romance. Only it's two robots, and like, is that enough of a clever swap? It just felt like I'm not sure why they're robots, other than they probably thought, well, it's going to sell better if we make it that they're robots, right? Like, so I was kind of like, okay. I mean, it was fine. Like, I wasn't angry that I read it or bought it, but I won't be coming back for the subsequent issues. I just didn't really connect with me. So if
Okay.
you're gonna give me romance, like I want to picture it as like organic beings, because obviously like romance and love and sex and it's like a visceral organic, you know, thing. So I it's like robots are programming code. I don't know that they like, to me they don't love. You know what I mean? So it just seemed off to me. Seemed off to me. So I know you were hoping to go out on a higher note, so you might have to pull something out of your hat, because
Okay.
yeah,
So
this was
then,
not something that I particularly thought was all that great. I would not I would not run out and tell people that they need to check this out.
okay.
Sorry, Chip.
No, that's
Again, Chip's eating. I don't think he needs me to
Yeah,
tell him
really.
I love his books.
I'm sure he's crying into his money mattress. Well, there was I was catching up on. Well, this isn't. I wasn't trying to. Yeah, based on what I have left, I'm gonna have to go back to the well. But um, the the first issue of Adventures of Superman Book of L is picking up where Philip Kennedy Johnson's Warworld saga kind of ended, and this, as I said, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, beautifully drawn by Scott Godlewski, who has, I mean, we enjoyed him on Copperhead way back when, and then
Yeah.
he was drawing Superman, some of the issues that Tomasi had written, and then I think some when Bendis was on. But yeah, he is, and he did the Justice League Legion miniseries from a couple years ago. But this Book of L, I really like the way Scott draws Superman. But this issue, for anybody who may be missing the kids that that Superman rescued, Otho and Osel, that he rescued from Warworld and brought home, and that he and Lois pretty much kind of adopted. If you've been missing them from what Williamson is doing on the main Superman book, or of course from Wade's Back in Time Action Comics run, at least they're here. These characters are very much, I'm going to kind of say that they are PKJ's characters. So I have absolutely no problem with them here, back at home, so to speak. But the story takes place in Smallville, where the whole family is visiting Ma and Pa. I'm a little taken aback by the way Pa Kent is portrayed visually here. He kind of almost looks. He's got a very Jim Gordon kind of face. He's got the glasses. He's got the mustache. He's wearing a ball cap. He does not really look like any Pa Kent that I've seen drawn, whether it's from Byrne or Ordway or Gary Frank or anybody over the years. So I'm not sure if I've just been Pa Kent blind and haven't really looked at his face recently, but he just a little young here. Definitely not like the actor who played him in the Gunn Superman movie. But so the kids are planting seeds, and because they're having fun on the farm. Pa's about to go fix a fence. Clark's going to help, even though Pa's like, "Listen, I got it. Don't worry about me." Lois is editor in chiefing from the porch, waiting for Cat Grant to send in his story so they can make it to they can get there for the deadline. But we while all this is going on, portals are opening in the sky above Clark, but he's not aware of it at the time. And as while Clark's going to go help Pa, John and the kids are going to play some coney ball. And while that's happening, and Lois and Ma are chit-chatting on the porch, and right as Clark is walking towards his father, this giant anchor with a massive chain comes down and just chungs into the ground. And so they're coming down in spikes, almost like cordoning off the area. And that's when these harpoons forged from whaling iron, because Clark's familiar with them. So the Calathiniger have arrived, and one of the most feared, most vicious tribes of Warworld, and they come down, and so Superman is ready to fight him. John is here, ready to fight, but then we find out that Krillux has stopped John in his tracks, and while the warriors are also grabbing up the kids by the neck, Cruxel throws one of them, and as Superman is flying towards the enemy, telling him to stay away from his family, there's a giant crackle. We see the words, "Not yet, son of Krypton, you will have your part to play, but not yet." Panel goes black, and then we get long from now, we're in the future. Not quite sure where we are, what planet we're on, because we have aliens here, but there is someone's talking about finding the Lightborn, and there's this little green glowing dude who kind of looks a little bit like a cross between Oberon and a Guardian from Oa, but the little green dude and his taller companion, they're found, and they're found by the Summermen, who were dressed like almost like in cleric-like garb. There's about 5 of them there, and they said, "We forgive you, so be redeemed and join your forefathers." But when that happens, and they're about to blast the 2 of them, this glowing blue figure appears. You can kind of make out the S shield, and then you get a journal entry that says, "The coming of Kal-El, the Superman, to Earth was the second most impactful event in human history. The most impactful was his apparent death at the hands of Krulux, the Promethean king. And for centuries, rumors and legends persisted that Superman survived, that he was sent away by some mysterious power to a time when his descendants would need him most. Of course, this belief was driven not by any reliable evidence, but by hope." And this is an excerpt from the book of Allison. That's the last page of the first issue, except we have a journal entry by Kara Zor-El, and then there's another page from a book, and the title of this page is "On Smallville and the Planter's Fief," recorded by the chronicler of the House of El, year 956 PAE, which stands for Promethean Age of Earth. So basically, in this story, Superman's missing, and I do not know if this Superman that appeared long from now is our Kal-El or a descendant, because we find out that on this last page, on Smallville and the Planter's Fief, "As I write this, it is the time of Rowan and Ronan Kent, children of Roland and Sigrid Kent, now aged 20 years Terran, the niece and nephew of Brandon Kent, last Superman of Earth." So this is going to be a wild freaking ride, and I trust PKJ. I know that Warworld, Ian and Giant, and I enjoyed that, but for some people it may have gone on a little long. They may not have been real thrilled with Philip's handling of the characters when they were back home on Earth, but I did not dislike his run, and for him to continue that story he started and have Scott on art, even though I I don't want to. I'm not trying to manifest this based on Scott's track record. I don't see him handling all 12 issues, especially all 12 full issues. But DC's been smart in the past, and they have paired him up with complementary artists. So it won't be. It's not going to look like, hey, here's 4 pages by Scott, and then like the rest is by Gene Colan. I have faith that we're going to get art that looks similar throughout. So I'm optimistic. But yeah, this was wild. A lot of double page spreads because Scott was having a lot of fun. You've got huge shots of open skies and the battles, and he's a very what I like about Godlewski is that some of how he'll lay things out, how he'll present pages or scenes. He has a very I feel like he thinks in 3D. Like when these harpoons are being shot down into the ground and the way they're coming from the ships, it's like you're watching a 3D movie where that harpoon is coming towards you. So he likes playing with angles. He likes fooling around with perspective and really making you feel like you're about to get smacked with something that's coming off the page. So I'd love to have a 3D book by him. I'd love to see what that would look like. But Adventure Superman Book of L was a lot of fun. Well, if you could say that. I mean, it's not like it's a happy story so far, but not that anything from Warworld was really all that happy. But yeah, I have faith in the creative team, and I like the fact that he's able to continue any of the dangling threads that were lingering from that Warworld saga from a couple of years ago. Of course, now it probably just makes that Philip Kennedy Johnson Superman omnibus moot because now we have to add these 12 issues at the end of it. But it's not like DC doesn't like to reprint and republish and put out new editions of their omnibus.
I cannot believe they're putting out a PKJ omnibus.
They did the whole Warworld thing. Yeah, they absolutely did. It's crazy.
There you go. Gotta have it.
But yeah, so I will just say, in your travels, since I already talked about the back corner of the universe, go back in time a little bit, and I've been catching up on Batman and Robin Year One. Not going to go too deep into that, although the big bad, the general who showed up in the first issue, at the end of the first issue, and has been a thorn in Batman's side in trying to take over Gotham's underworld, much to the chagrin of the current crime bosses. He kind of mocked and belittled Clayface one too many times, and things are not things aren't looking good for the general. And I think as this 12-issue series wraps up, Batman and his new sidekick are going to be dealing with Clayface and Two-Face a lot more and a lot closer. But Mark Waid and Chris Samnee, of course, they can do no wrong. And as soon as that hardcover was solicited last month, that was the first thing on my order, because I can't wait to see how this is going to look in a nice hardcover collection. But it's what I've enjoyed about this series so far is just how it now that Dick Grayson has been Nightwing far longer than he's ever been Robin, it's nice, without having to go through old issues of Teen Titans, to see a much younger Dick Grayson after he was taken in by Bruce after his parents were killed. And there's a great moment where Robin seems very, he's not stiff, but and he's still listening to Bruce, but he's not purposely being reckless, but his mind seems to be on something else, and he almost gets himself killed. So he's a little shook, and on the ride back to the Batcave, he's very quiet, just a lot of yes sirs, and just he's kind of tight-lipped, not saying much, but they get back home, and Bruce is like, listen, Bruce Wayne has has some function he has to be fashionably late for, so he's asking Alfred to check on Dick and make sure everything's okay, and to fill him in when he gets home. And Alfred, who of course raised Bruce, knows how to handle children, but someone with Dick's attitude and upbringing, since he had his parents a little bit longer than I think maybe Bruce had his, but he knows something is up, and he understands that that Dick is very a little closed off. He doesn't, there isn't a lot that he wants to confess or admit to. And when Alfred goes upstairs, and he says, we Master Bruce and I both have concerns. Bruce feels like, you've been distracted, and I confess to doing some research on your parents, and I noticed that today would have been your mother's birthday, and Dick was juggling at the time, and you see all the balls drop. Alfred asks him if he wants to talk about it, and he goes, nothing to talk about. It happened. She and Dad died in a split second. And Alfred's opening up to him, and he's asking him, listen, if you want to just, do you want to sit? Do you want to talk? I'm here for you. And he's like, yeah, I hear you. He's like, but can I be alone now, please? And he says, listen, I'm concerned for your emotional health. You're not like Bruce because he hides everything, but you carry your feelings on your sleeve. And in all these months, I have not once seen you truly mourn your parents' murder. And I am curious to know why that is, and if you would talk to me. And Dick basically just blasts, because performers don't cry. And Alfred's eyes go wide, and Dick runs to him, and they hug, and it was just, it's an amazing scene, and it's just the way Wade has treated these characters, because they are completely different, and they kind of mock the fact that Robin sticks out like a sore thumb, and with the red and the green and the yellow, but it's a solid year of it's a solid story telling of the first year of these two, and I kind of don't want it to end, but I am excited to see the conclusion, because it's been a crazy ride, and the general actually figures it all out, because when he had captured Robin earlier in the run, he tells, while Robin's all tied up and still talking shit to the general, he says, you think it's that simple? You think Batman's going to slaw this whole place? And the general couldn't quite understand that word. Like, he's never heard the term slaw, and he looks it up, and it's circus slang, and it means to tear down. And then he does a little bit more digging, realizes that Bruce Wayne adopts the circus orphan, and that's when he starts piecing things together, and then that's when things go a little crazy in the issue. And I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody, but yeah, in your travels, if you haven't, that there's a whole 2 issues left. You can get the collection, either the hardcover or the trade, in a month or 2. Batman and Robin, Year 1 by Mark Waid and Chris Somney.
Can't ever go wrong with Waid and Somney, that's for sure.
Cannot.
In your travels, actually, I told you I was going to do the wrong thing. Sorry, I forgot about this one. But this is definitely the one I want to do, and that is Powers 25, number 1.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a 25th anniversary revisit of Powers, which, of course, is one of the seminal series that put Brian Michael Bendis on the map, that made him, lights in neon sight Brian Michael Bendis. Not his first big book. I'd probably say Jinx was his first big hit, or not big hit, but his first notable hit. But Powers was, I think, synonymous with Bendis for a long time, including much of his early meteoric rise at Marvel. He was still doing Powers. and always drawn by his longtime collaborative partner and one of his best friends in IRL, Michael Avon Oeming, with the colors in this case by Nick Filardi. It's I think they did everything right in terms of, if you're going to give me an anniversary issue. It is both accessible as a standalone new story. If you've never read an issue of Powers, you are in no way going to be hamstrung from enjoying this issue. But certainly for those who have been around for much or all of the 25-year journey, as I have, you'll also come away with lots of stuff that you wouldn't have come away with had you not, partaken in Powers over the years. So I just thought they did a really great job of balancing that tightrope. In it, and they also do a fun thing where they start the book off with themselves. They draw the caricatures of themselves talking to us about the comic and their journey in the first page. It's fun. And Powers, the conceit is that the characters age in real life, or age in real time, and this issue gives us that, rather than it being they could have taken an easy way out and just done a flashback story of 20 years ago, like a Lost in the Vaults mystery or something, just to revisit the characters of Christian Walker and Dina Pilgrim. But they choose not to do that, which I thought was great. This is 25 years into this Powers world, and there's a new detective protagonist, and it's Detective Cutter, and she is the daughter of the male Cutter from the original series, FYI, as you might have guessed. But she's the lead detective, and she's trying to solve a superhero murder of a real whodunit, because there's not a lot of clues, and the things that they are discovering seem to be counter to what else is there in terms of clues and evidence. And it felt right at home. It felt very much like I was reading just another issue of Powers, which I enjoyed, but also it felt like it could be a totally brand new series where you're just like, Bendis is like, oh, I have a new superhero detective story series called Powers. So I just thought it was great. I just thought it was really fun. I wasn't sure when I picked it up if it was actually going to be one and done, just a little nod, but it's not. It looks like it's the start of a new run. I assume it's a mini series, but offhand I don't know. But I thought Oeming, Oeming is Oeming. I think it would be weird to have someone else draw Powers, and I think he still got the same great aesthetic that he's always had with these characters, and it looked great. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It really felt like putting on a comfortable pair of jeans. So if you are a fan of Bendis during the heyday, and I say this as someone who honestly can't remember the last time I read a Bendis comic, like of a new comic. It's been years at least, I think. But as someone who adored Bendis when he was, the biggest thing in comics, I thought it for good reason. This was fun. So check out Powers 25, number 1.
I will. Because I have the first couple of trades, and I haven't read them all. But so if it happened in real time, but issues, they didn't age every month, right? Because if you had a story that continued from
No,
one
I
issue
don't
to
think
the
so. I
next.
just mean like it's
okay.
Yeah.
But as
no,
far
I
as
just
but
mean
year to year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't even I'm trying to think how. I mean, I think there were, the first volume went for like 40-ish issues. The second volume went almost as long, and then there've been subsequent volumes. I think 3 other volumes that were like more like an arc or two. I'm pulling them out. Okay, yeah. So I was okay. Volume 1 was 37 issues. Volume 2 was 30 issues. Volume 3 was 11 issues. Volume 4, which was 12 issues, which was like 2 arcs, and then volume 5 was 8 issues, and then a standalone GN. So yeah, it sounds like a lot of comics, but it's over the course of 25 years. So it's not.
Yeah.
There were periods of time when it was prolific, and periods of time when it was kind of not really coming out.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting anything.
78, 90. It's still like 98 issues and a graphic novel over 25 years. That's that's like 4 issues a year. So yeah, so it's It's not a ton for people if they've never read Powers. It'd be pretty easy to jump in and read it like from
Yeah.
the start if you wanted.
Because I don't think
And as you know, it's bounced all over. I mean, it was.
Oh yeah, Image. It was Icon at Marvel.
Yeah,
Image. Now it's at Dark Horse.
Yeah, exactly. It's been at Image. It's been at Marvel. It's been at Dark Horse. So.
And I don't think he was. I don't think we were getting any Powers when he was working when he had the DC exclusive.
Correct.
But yeah, so yeah, yeah, okay. And they're a good team. Yeah, I know. Nice.
And there's an interesting in the back matter, and again, I'm sure this is not new news because I'm sure over the years during interviews they've talked about this, but I did not remember or know this that Michael Avon Oeming was a security guard at a New Jersey parking garage when Bendis met him. And,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I know. You know, because they both lived in like Portland and like as neighbors forever. So I mean, you know, this was a long time ago. I think Bendis has just done Jinx, and they struck up a conversation because I think he saw that Oeming was drawing like on like a comic board in the like
that's
like
great.
he was in night work, so he was drawing comics while he was working.
Yeah,
and I think Bendis was like, "Wait, are you drawing a comic?" And I guess Oeming was working on whatever comic he was at the time. He's like, "Yeah, I draw comics, but like it's not my full time gig. At least it's not yet." And the rest is history.
Awesome. That's great.
I know, crazy, right?
Almost as crazy as 1,000 Weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're probably burying the lead here, but next week is episode 1,000, which we've been teasing for the whole year, and we're finally here. Our plan of action is this is going to be, for most of you listening, it's going to, you'll enjoy this after the fact, but if you are one of our amazing patrons, and most of you probably already know this because we announced it on the patron Slack earlier this week, or DAP announced it. We will be going live. We will be doing a live recording, kind of like an open mic. DAP and I will have the Discord, and for patrons they'll have a link to the Discord, and we're inviting all of our EOC friends and community members to hop on and just listen, chat, chime in, come and go. It's just going to be like a little virtual cocktail party because we ultimately decided that we were banding about lots and lots of different ideas over the last 6 to 9 months about this, what we were going to do here. Of course, there was at one point we thought we would be at Baltimore Con and have a live show, and then realized the dates didn't line up, and et cetera, and then obviously with our Bo being out of pocket right now, it just we were trying to figure out what the best way to go approach this, and I think we both agreed pretty easily that the most fitting way to celebrate 1,000 episodes is to do it with our longtime friends and listeners, because really that's in as much as we have a quote unquote legacy, I think that is the legacy, is the community of friendships that have been built around the show. So
agreed. Yeah, we'll fine tune everything. We'll get all the logistics and particulars straightened out. We're not trying to bog down the system by having dozens of people on, but we could cycle people in and out. We'll definitely figure it out. If you're on the Slack, you'll get the link. Then we'll see about any other friends and family. But yeah, we'll make it fun to edit and produce the next day. But it's all for fun. It's all out of love. And we will we'll make the best of episode 1,000. We'll probably have a couple things to talk about that we've read, and then we'll have some festivities as far as the list, the games, and things that we've been playing over the past few years. So yeah, we'll see where things take us, what the mood strikes. But for the most part, we're aiming to have a lot of fun with it, and hopefully you'll hang out with us. So that is pretty much it for this week. I will raise my glass and say happy birthday to my dad, who shared his birthday with me on Tuesday, and other than that, I think that's pretty much it. As always, Vince sends his love, and as do we, and we will we will talk to you all next week.
That dims the facts.
Bye.
Peace.
That's it for that one.